Yo, Crypto Nation and mining family, what's going on, guys? What up, what up? So yeah, if you guys didn't know, Bitcoin's had a double spend on it, supposedly. It's gonna crash down to zero. See, let's go look at the chart. It should be, since we had a double spend, it should be at zero, right? Wait a minute here. It's not at zero. We're at $33,604. Why are we not down at zero? Huh. And what's this double spend that I be talking about, you might wonder? Well, I shall get into that in a second here. But while looking at this amazing chart, you do see that we have a descending triangle here. So it shows that we've been consolidating since the all-time high of 40. You know, we got up to as high as $42,000 per Bitcoin, and then since then we've been kind of trading sideways and kind of putting in lower lows in the process. People are taking profits. I would expect this. This is why I tell people right now we're in a bubble. I don't recommend people to be buying. At least I'm not. And then one thing that I like to do whenever I'm looking at going, okay, where's a target point on a descending triangle? Because a descending triangle typically means that we're going to break out to the downside, more than likely. I mean, it can't pop off again if there's, you know, a big buyer coming in, big old whale comes in, it's going to shoot off like a rocket once again, but I doubt it. So if you sit there and you make like a pennant, I like to take the lowest wick and the highest wick and basically get a good line in between those two. And if I put it on where this candle bottomed out for the day, it puts us out like right around a $19,000 to $20,000 Bitcoin. To me, that is a healthy retracement. I would not cry about this in the slightest bit. Also, from here, I mean, once it starts to break down, you can have panic selling. And that panic selling can retrace it 90% like the last bear market. Right now, you're going to be looking at right around an $88,000 Bitcoin. Am I going to be sad to have another opportunity to buy Bitcoin under $10,000? Hell no. I don't think the market has fudded enough to make that happen. The OGs in the space know that, well, a double spend really can't happen. The consensus algorithm does not allow that. If you understand proof of work at all, you'll know that you can have two separate you can have one transaction that's validated into two separate blocks. And what do I mean by that? Well, here you go. So this is after the block. What is it? 666,832, I think, was the block height as the parent block. And then you can see here, Slush Pool hit a block, and then 2 minutes later, F2 Pool hits a block, and they're both claiming that the same parent block, the block before, was where they were building off of. So depending on how quickly they each pool can tell the network that they found the block, and then it's a race to see which is the longest block is going to survive. So with that being said, of course, Slush Pool being the one that hit the block first. Now, both of these blocks can have a lot of the same transactions. They might not have every transaction being identical, but they can have, let's say, 90% of the transactions being the same. Which means that it's going to look like you just did a double spend. But once the one block is orphaned or considered stale, then you're going to have a situation where all the transactions in the stale block are going to go back to the mempool. Now, whatever transactions was in the stale block that are also in the valid block, the block that the chain recognized as the next block height. If there's any transactions that are common in between the two blocks, then you don't have anything to worry about. It's that small percentage of transactions that were not the same. They'll go right back into the mempool and wait for validation. So you might see transaction get one confirmation and then 0 confirmations, and you're like, how does that happen? It's through a block reorg. A 1 block reorg probably happens every 2 or 3 weeks. This is normal. You're going to find that miners might might not have communicated with somebody else's node, and they both validated a transaction and then projected that out to the network. And the person over here got it out first, but he didn't get that over here fast enough, so he validated a block. And then once it all came back around and goes, oh, everybody's in consensus with that block? Okay, you win. And now he's like, okay, I got to build off of this one now. This happens all the time. Like I said, every 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to see a block reorg of 1 block. This is normal for proof of work mining. After, it's like if you get 2 blocks that have been validated and within a short period of time, within 10 minutes, you're going to find out which chain is the longest chain. Consensus rules. This is something that was outlined in Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper specifically. So you're going to have, a common occurrence of this. Now, 2 block reorgs, not as common. You're probably looking at a 2 block reorg happening every few years. And as far as the research that I've done, there's never been a 3 block reorg. That would take a decade. And that's why even in Satoshi's white paper, it says to let the chain validate 6 blocks before considering the payment transaction gone through. Because to reorg 6 blocks, that would take millennia to have that rare occurrence ever happen. So to sit there and say, oh, there's a double spend attack on Bitcoin's network, one, it's not going to happen. That would take extraordinary hash power that the normal person, even your most wealthiest nations, won't be able to capture that kind of network effect at all. You got to have more than 51% of the mining hash rate. Once you start getting up to that, anywhere near 51%, you're going to have a whole bunch of people getting worried. You're basically, as you encroach 51% of the network hash rate, you can consider yourself trying to attack the network and kill off Bitcoin. Not saying that because you've got 51% of the network that's going to happen, but that's just what people are going to have in the back of their mind. So what they were talking about that Bitfinex supposedly saw was a double spend. The 2 different blocks that were mined, they saw both contained a similar transaction of $22. Now, if you are a person that's got a shop and you sell somebody a t-shirt for $22, and you're like, oh, I'll take Bitcoin, and you wait 1 transaction, hand him his shirt, he walks out that door, if that block gets invalidated, you might be out $22. It's not going to be, you're going to get paid twice. Not going to happen. You're either going to wait for that payment to go back into the mempool and then go back into a new block, and then you'll see the confirmation over on the other side of it. Otherwise, you're out of $22. This is where, you got to know how to deal with Bitcoin. If you're going to take it as a payment, you should know what to expect. It's just like a credit card transaction at that point. If you slide it for $10, you're not going to have to sign for it. But at the same time, you can sit there and call up your credit card company and be like, this $10, I was never there. This didn't happen. Your credit card company is just going to be like, all right, here you go. Your credit card was compromised. We're turning that off, and we're going to send you a new one now. And then you got the inconvenience of waiting a few days to get your new credit card, and you get to keep your money. Bitcoin's a little different. If I sit there and I send out a transaction and that block gets orphaned, it's not that the payment's gone. It just means you got to wait for it to be revalidated. Under normal circumstances, probably not an issue. But if the person is a little slick, he can make it look like he spent that Bitcoin with you, and when the block gets reorged, he walks away. You don't get your Bitcoin. That is a very rare occurrence. Another thing that you might see is people sitting there and they send out Bitcoin out of their wallet, and then they've also got replaced by fee. So just in case you didn't send enough Bitcoin to pay the mining fee, they'll take it right out of the transaction to make sure that the payment gets pushed. That is a nice feature with the Bitcoin Core wallet that, you can sit there and send a payment for 1 Satoshi per byte. It might take you a little longer to get it to go through. It will, but make sure that you have selected replace by fee or something like that. I forget exactly the verbiage on there, but it's a way for, just in case your payment gets stuck in the mempool, that the miner can request the payment, the fee to be increased a little bit and push the payment through. But this wasn't what they were talking about. Basically, whoever it was did a report on this, definitely not understanding what they were looking at, and just saw that each block both contained a similar payment to the same address, and whenever the block got rejected, they called it a double spend. It really wasn't. If it was a double spend, like I said, that glorious Bizzity Bit would be at 0 right now, not holding tight at $33,571. This was like part of the report on it. One of the news outlets that kind of regurgitated the FUD. Bitcoin fell 11%. Must have been a double spend attack. No. Even Bloomberg got down on this a little bit, and talking about why a double spend story is being misinterpreted. And they talk about how people don't understand what they're looking at. If it was hacked in any way, shape, or form, it would already be at 0. So this is something that I would not worry about in any way, shape, or form. This is such FUD. It's unbelievable. It just shows how new of an industry we really are still in when people are talking about double spends on that Bizzity Bit. So, guys, be careful whenever you hear FUD like this. You can always revert back to the blockchain and actually look at the blockchain, look at the transactions in each side of each block, and you can do this with every block going all the way back to the Genesis block. So this is nothing, this is where you can sit there and say, I can validate my transaction. In other words, you can go onto the blockchain and see that it was hashed and it was put onto the blockchain. And you can go back all the way to the Genesis block, and there's never been a double spend on Bitcoin, ever. So definitely the FUD of the day. I think that if I had to take a guess, I would think that this would be a whale trying to shake the newbies out. If they can get the newbies to sell their Bitcoin right now, they can technically get a Bitcoin with a discount. I don't mind it. If these big whales want to sit there and FUD Bitcoin down 90%, I will take advantage right along with them. This is the difference between a newbie and an OG in the space. An OG in the space knows that this was FUD, and if you're new here, if you don't know what FUD is, FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and that doubt. That's nothing that we have. That's something that goes on in cycles with Bitcoin. Big whales trying to shake out the newbies and the people with the weak hands. The people, not so much people with weak hands, but people who are more speculating, using Bitcoin to get rich and get their Lambo. Definitely nothing that I would be worried about. So, as myself, my mining rigs are not turned off. My S9 is still running, mining that glorious Bitcoin. So, guys out there, stay frosty. Don't fall for this obvious, blatant FUD and poor and misinformed journalism. So let me just set that record straight, guys, with all of you guys. And with that, if you got any comments or questions, certainly drop them in down below. I love to see all your guys' comments. If you would like to continue this conversation out in more depth, definitely get into the Discord. Links are always down below. And while you're down there, smash that like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And then, of course, share this on your favorite social media. Get the word out that what we had here was a FUD event. Nothing to worry about. It is some BS. And with that, guys, I'll definitely see you all on the next one. Peace.